Hi, everybody. It's Adam Floridia here. Today, we're going to talk about doing college research. We're going to focus on three main types: one, popular sources; two, credible academic sources; and three, scholarly and peer review sources. This shouldn't take that long. I'm sure you've all done some research in the past. And I'm sure the easiest way to do research, if I asked you, how do you get information? You need information on something, where are you going to go? The answer would be Google. And you might think that doesn't count as research, but I would argue it does. You're not always going to be allowed to use that for your classes, and there are often better choices. But depending on the assignment, depending on the instructor, Google can be a valuable research tool. It is a search engine. The re in front of research just means again. So that means you're going to have to put in some effort to search potentially again and again in order to find stuff that you might want. So we're starting with Google. I already had something open. And let's say, for instance, I have to do a paper on college success. I could just go to Google and type in college success, and let's see what comes up. Well, there are 2,140,000,000 results. Now, if you're like me, you're going to click on maybe the first couple. Maybe you'll be good and scroll through the first page. Um, Oh wow, it just keeps scrolling now. They don't even do from page 1 to 2. I don't think I've ever scrolled this far down, so goes to show. And you might find some stuff that actually could be pretty useful. You got videos, you got all the other stuff. Some of it is learning software specific to colleges, so you will have to sort through that. Now, if you've started your research with research questions, like you're supposed to when you're doing research, you might have come up with a research question like, how does motivation affect college success? So you can change that to motivation. Ooh, motivation. Don't judge my typing. Motivation and college success. Or you could probably type in the question, how does motivation affect college success? And now I'm going to have things that are a little bit more focused. Motivation and student success from Inside Higher Ed. That's a good source. Reasons for attending college from the Warner School of Education. That might be biased since it's from a school. But none of this information is automatically wrong. It is not automatically something you should not use. It's just stuff that you have to be a little more careful about using. And again, it depends on the criteria of the assignment. It depends on your instructor. So depending on which course you're taking with me, there are times when I say you just need an outside source. This would be fine in that case. You can Google something and you can find something. There are other times I'm going to tell you to use databases, and we'll get to those. And other times I'm going to tell you to use peer-reviewed, and we'll get to those. But there's nothing inherently wrong with Google. Things with Google, though. One, you're getting usually a couple million or billion search results. Because you are most likely not going to search through them all, you're going to miss out on a lot. You're not going to do the research and search again and again, again and again, and keep scrolling. And just because something is on top does not mean it is the best information. So there might be something way down that you will just never come across because you've got a billion search results. So it's nice to start off with fewer things. Second, when you use sources, you're going to need to cite them. How do you cite a web page? Well, if you're using Google, you're going to need to know how to do that. Let's say I click on this one. And I want to use some of this information. Okay, well, it's a web page, and I've got the title, and I've got a date. I've even got the author, and I can scroll down, and I want to use this quote. But how do I put that on my Works Cited page? The answer is not copy and paste the URL. The answer is look it up. Look how to cite a web page. In English classes, you'll be using MLA. A great source to use to find out how to cite things is Purdue OWL. Look how I found it. I Googled it. Purdue OWL. Click on that. And it has an MLA guide. And it has all these different formatting tools. How to format a Works Cited page. MLA Works Cited electronic sources, web publications. So go through this and figure out what you need and copy the information. Copy the format. That's all you have to do is look it up. Purdue OWL. I will have the link somewhere in the course shell as well. The other thing that you have to do when when using Google, when relying on websites, is remember that anybody can make a website, regardless of their expertise, their credibility, their ethos, regardless of their intent. So you do have to approach these with some suspicion. I'm sure you all know .govs, .edus, .orgs tend to be more reliable than just .coms, and that does not mean that .coms are forbidden, that you can't use those either. But what you have to do is assess and evaluate the website, so you have to do this extra step, and we call it TRAP. There's going to be a worksheet on Blackboard or a PDF, a document posted for you to look at. But I'm going to also post the link to this video that I want you to go and watch. Don't be insulted. It says evaluating websites for elementary students. But guess what? I watched it, and aside from it talking about students on playgrounds, the information is pretty darn good. And it walks you through simplistically the basics that you need to do to evaluate a website. Those don't change too much from elementary school to college. Some things are a little bit more in depth, and you know what? If a website has some salty language that isn't appropriate for elementary schoolers, you don't have to shy away from it. But go through and watch evaluating websites. So, you could use Google. That is a research tool, depending on the class, depending on the assignment, all of that. But it does have its uses. It's one of the most, probably the most popular search engine. But people do tend to shy away from it. I think a lot of teachers have forbidden its use, but that doesn't mean you cannot find good things. If you're permitted to, remember to evaluate the websites you find and be sure to look up how to cite websites properly. The next thing I'm going to talk about is academic sources. Let's see. Credible academic sources. I'm going to go to our library database. Easiest way for me to get there, even though we're CT State, is still mxcc.edu/library. mxcc.edu. What did I type wrong? mxcc.edu/ I must have put in this last the wrong way. How embarrassing. Anyway, brings us to the CT State Community College Library, Middlesex campus, and I encourage you to browse all this stuff. I'm always going to encourage you to browse these helpful websites. There's research guides, so depending on the class that you're in, look, it gives you different, there are different tutorials on how to research for different classes, but I'll try to stay on task. We're going to go to databases. Databases are warehouses of information. There are a bunch of these. These are not much different than Google in the sense that they are search engines. You're going to click on one of these, you're going to type in a search, and it's going to give you information back. A difference is that you do not have to approach these with the skepticism that you do when just doing a Google search. You should always evaluate websites and evaluate information and do your critical thinking. But I like to think of these as starting off on the credible side, where I start off with the suspicion side on Google. If I'm writing for a paper, if I'm doing research for a paper. So you have general databases. I tend to like these. I'm going to go into one of these in a second. These are when you're not searching for something very specific like a business topic or criminal justice or education or literature or so-and-so. Newspapers can also be great. We'll go into one of those. And Issues, Pros, and Cons are other really good ones. So let's go into Academic Search Complete. I like that one. And we go in here, and let's see, what do I want to search this time? Let's say I want to search, instead of college success, happiness. You know, something about like life success. Really general topic. Oh my. Well, I got 30,000 results. That's a couple billion less than Google. Experience happiness in late life. But these don't sound so great. So I'm going to tweak it. I'm going to change the publication date. One thing you always want to click on with these is full text. That will limit their search results to all articles that you can read. Otherwise, it will come up with articles or books that you click on, but they're not actually there because you would have to go and physically take them out of a library, or we don't have access to them. So you do want to do full text. And I'm going to go up here and do advanced search because happiness apparently wasn't a great topic. So maybe I want to do happiness. Ooh, and it comes down with happiness and well-being, or it's going to go back, but happiness in relationships. Or so again, starting with research questions for a research paper when you have to do any type of research is essential because it gives you different avenues to look at. So I'm still going to start with this general. Let's just see what comes up. Oop, I didn't click full text. Full text. Happiness and well-being. Mindfulness, happiness, and well-being among adults. That sounds pretty potentially useful. Where's the date? It's 2023 in a Journal of Psychology. It's got ethos. So let's say we do our skimming and scanning of results. Skim the title. Sounds good so far. Open it up. I skim the abstract. Abstract is a fancy word for summary. Skim that. See if it's worth reading. The present study was undertaken to examine. I won't read it all out loud, but it's a scientific study. Okay, that sounds very useful. So I want to actually read this, see if it's going to be good in my paper. Click on PDF full text. Sometimes the full text is right there. When it's longer, it will be a separate link. It downloaded, so I'm not going to bother opening it right now. But I do want to show you over on the side here. Can we see this? Oop. I clicked on this little picture right here. I don't know why no words came up, but it brought up the citation format. So I don't have to go to Purdue OWL and look it up. I just have to scroll down till I see MLA and literally copy and paste that into my Works Cited, and I have now cited it in the Works Cited page correctly. I will, of course, put it in alphabetical order. I will make sure it's font size 12 times New Roman, double-spaced, all of that stuff. But let's say I was doing happiness, well-being, and I want one of the issues that I was interested in pursuing was religion. Does religion contribute to happiness, well-being? Let's go religion and spirituality. Relationship between religious, spiritual beliefs and subjective well-being, a case study. Wow. Again, I'm getting some seemingly good scholarly information. This is the type of stuff ultimately you'll want to use in college, stuff that is research based, so studies, things that are based on logos, which are facts, data, statistics, rather than just the story you might find on a Google search in a wellness magazine that talks about this one person who found happiness through meditation. That's a good example, but that's one person. So it's more of a generalization. This is the best type of research when you find real studies and stuff. So this was in Academic Search Premier, I believe. While I'm here, I'm going to get through the other last scholarly peer review sources. Those are the really challenging ones. You do the same thing. You come to these databases and you do full text. You type in your search. But then you want to click on, and it is in different places, right over here under full text, peer-reviewed. Different databases might call it different things. For some, it is scholarly articles. For most, it is peer-reviewed. And look, some of the ones we're looking at are peer-reviewed. These are difficult to read because these are generally not written for undergraduates. These are written by experts in the field, which is why the ones we found were actual case studies. They're written by experts, and they're usually for other experts in the field. So for some of your classes, like advanced composition, say, your teacher might challenge you and require that you use a certain number of peer-reviewed sources. That is for the most scholarly, the most academic type of essay. And that is something you will practice writing throughout college and possibly beyond, so that you are getting used to doing this real, good, credible, logos-based, credible, ethos-based research. But for a class like regular composition, maybe you won't have to. For a class like literature and composition, you might have to. I'm not going to go through all the databases I said I was, but issues, pros, and cons, these are great if you're doing kind of a should question. Let's say you're thinking about college success or career success. Does a major matter? Should someone go to college? All of those different research questions are things you can type in, use different ones of these. I know it's overwhelming because there's a whole lot, but like I said, I like Academic Search Complete, it's called now. It used to be something different. I like opposing viewpoints in context, maybe global issues. And then I really do like the newspaper ones. New York Times Online Edition are great. Actually, U.S. major dailies, because that will search a lot of the different newspapers. So those can be great sources. So that's where I would start if you're in a composition class doing research for composition, advanced composition, something like that. If you happen to be in a literature and composition class, I would probably skip some of those, and I would go into one of the literary criticism ones. I like literature criticism. All of these are pretty good. Bloom's is pretty good. And actually, I'm going to go back for this one and forget about evaluating websites. Let's go to Google. Let's say I had to write, a paper on Equus. It's a great play. Some of you might read it. I type in Equus, and, I get a lot about horses. I get Wikipedia about the play. That's not scholarly criticism. So let's refine this. Equus criticism. Equus review. Okay, that's the Guardian. That might not be bad. Psychoanalysis says nay to Equus, similar Oedipal. I'd have to go through this and I don't know, a lot of it, the Rotten Tomatoes review. I'll say, again, Google, you might be able to find some stuff, but approach it with a grain of salt. It's going to be more to sift through. Um, let's see in here. So now I'm back into the Gill Lit Grit one. Equus. The Anger in Equus. Review of Equus. Equus as a Modern Tragedy. My gosh, this is exactly the type of stuff I would want for a research paper where I have to do some sort of scholarly criticism on Equus. Or maybe on, say, a short story. I'm typing the story. The Lottery comes to mind. Okay, there's the Lottery. I could read a full overview. Shirley Jackson's use of symbols in the Lottery. Shirley Jackson's The Lottery. In the following essay. So it's going to be the same thing. It's going to have credible information that is more scholarly than what you'll find on Google. And view full citation. I want to view full citation. Oh no, don't embarrass me here. Ah, there it is. And it will have the works cited information that you can just copy and paste. So this is better information when you use databases. I encourage you to use databases. I think most teachers will encourage you to use databases. Again, Google has its uses, and Google absolutely can have its uses in college classrooms, in college papers. Don't forget to cite correctly. Don't forget to evaluate the website. But databases are just generally better information, and the more you progress through your college journeys, the more you're going to be relying on databases. Partly because the more scholarly and literary criticism you're going to be doing, the more scholarly and peer-reviewed criticism you're going to be reading. You're going to need things that are written by experts in the field, because that's what your goal is. You're becoming an expert in the field. All right, I think that just about covers it. Talked about popular sources, which would be things like Google, or magazines, newspapers are technically popular sources, and you can search the newspapers in the databases. Those are still popular sources. Credible academic sources, use the databases. And if you really need to be scholarly and peer-reviewed, like in advanced composition, just click that button for scholarly peer review. All right, thank you for watching, and happy research. Ciao.